Welcome to 5 Bucket Studio. I'm Ling, and today I'm going to show you simple coral building. Let's get started. Here is the material that I'll be using to make my coral building demo. First, you need a block of clay, a wire cutter to cut up your clay, some sponges for finishing, a smooth metal ribs right here, also a serrated edges of pieces, and some finishings items including a soft rubber lid and a slightly less soft rubber lid, some spray bottle during the process of building, and a rolling pin. Let's get started. In building coil beading, the first step I want to do is establish my footprints where my coil is going to live on top. So again, I'm taking some clay out of my battle plate. They're nice and soft. And gathering some of my clay in here. Then I'm going to roll out my slab using my rolling pin, and that will establish the footprint for my coral building pieces. Once I roll out a slab, I'm going to establish my footprint, what shapes and what types of coral building am I building through. And this is going to be my footprint. And I'm going to continue building a sculpture using coral building. I'm taking a piece of paper and I'm going to set my pieces directly on top of the paper. This way, this allows me to moving my pieces by just gliding the work without moving the slab, as it might start dragging and deform onto the clay. You can see how much harder it is for me to pull across. But with a piece of paper, it really helps me to moving the work a lot more easy. Some people might also prefer using something called a bending wheel. A bending wheel doing the similar things where you can set your pieces directly on top of the bending wheel. As you're putting a coil on it, you can spin your bending wheel. For this demo, I'm going to skip using the bending wheel, but we're going to use this paper method to help us to guiding the pieces. First, I'm going to need to roll out some clay. So, taking a piece of coils out here, squeezing my clay into the shapes of a coil, then roll it out. Make sure to leave yourself tons of room in front of you so you can build up the momentum of rolling the coil. Since the coil itself are actually round in a circle, so therefore you need to make sure there's enough room in front of you to complete the circle to create this coil shapes. Lots of pressure being used through my entire hand, even spread to my fingers. I'm gonna roll a few more as I keep going. Now established having my coil, I'm bringing my pieces back in here, and I'm gonna start it to rolling out my coil all the way around. Since the clay is still pretty wet, so I'm gonna go ahead and just set my coil without slip and scoring. Taking this coil, I'm gonna go around, making sure the coil get all the way around. And the movement, how I'm going to attaching this coil into this piece of slab that I just built in, is to using the movement of pressing it down. So taking this coil right here, and when I'm taking half of the volume of the coil into the slab. You can see I'm taking half of the volume of the coil down into the slab. Continue doing these movements until I finish going around the shapes in the foam. And that's how you complete your first piece of coil. Allow me to explain further why this coil building method works. By complete a few more. I'm going to use my fingers to simply smooth out all the edges to ensure that my slab is fully attached onto the piece of slab. On the outside, you're going to see a seam between the slab and the coil building. What we'd like you to do is to smooth out the coil, smooth out the gap in between the coil. This way, just to ensure the bottom of the slab are not going to come off from your first coil, which is the start of the establishment for a foundation of your coil building pieces. Once I established it, then I know that I have a very secure coil into the bottom of my slab. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my second coil directly on top. So I'm going to set it anywhere that is not where I began for my last coil. Again, pushing half of the volume of the coil into the one down below. And you're going to repeat doing this step all the way around. Be sure as you're doing this, your 4 other fingers are the supporting outside as you're going through this movement of holding the wall while you're pressing down with your thumb. So you continue doing the step all the way around. A lot of times I would do additional fine adjustments by making sure my wall stays straight. Now, if I want this trace to be further out, I'll just go ahead and press those walls outward. But if I want them to go more straight down, then I'm going to go ahead and pressing them back into the center of the slab. Now that I established 2 coils, I'm going to go ahead and do a few more on top. Now that I'm done putting up at least 4 coils onto my slab, and it also established the heights that I want for this trace. Now it's time to actually smooth out all of those coils and ensure a more and better attachment. Some people enjoy seeing those marking from the coil building. Personally, I like to hide the one that is outside with all this regular line. By doing so, the step that I'm doing is that since in the all previous 3 coils, I've been pushing the clay, half the volume of the clay down. Therefore, in outside, I'm going to try to go in the diagonal directions and pushing the clay all the way on the side while I have my other hands inside to supporting the wall. Without this hand, this clay can be very easy to deform and I will have a harder time to apply pressure. So therefore, this hand is crucial to be on the side. So here's what I do. I'm grabbing the bottom clay and drag it directly on top. You can see it on the side. I'm going to do one more time while I'm setting this up on the side. Taking the volume from the bottom, drag it to the top. I'm going to go around, drag it to the top, drag it to the top. And I'm going to copy and doing all the things all the way around. Now that I've done completing all of it around, I'm going to be finding more of the shapes. And to do so, this is the tools that I use it a lot to help me with finding the shapes and the size of the pieces. By dragging my pieces, again, in a similar movement from the bottom to the top. And don't forget, your other hand should be always inside of the clay body to actually giving more substantial support as I'm applying quite a bit pressure in here. You can see I have a lot of different crumble on the edges. I'm going to use this tool to help me remove and even it out. After doing this, I feel my wall is a little bit more reinforced. In this point, I'm going to continue to work more by using a different ribs, a soft one, to help smooth out the outside texture. By doing so, you can see immediately I'm creating a much more nice and smooth surface. In this step right now, I am using again my smooth tool to help with finding the texture from the inside of this tray. And that's how you do coil building. Now obviously right now my pieces is still relatively soft, so I'm gonna set it aside with a piece of board and then let them stiffen up a little bit more and come back to finishing up to adding final touches for this tray.